Before social media, American politics moved at a slower, more deliberate pace. Information traveled through a limited number of trusted channels, and those channels acted as powerful gatekeepers. Newspapers decided which stories deserved attention. Television networks controlled what millions of Americans would see each evening. Radio shaped public opinion during commutes and daily routines. While these institutions were far from perfect, they created a shared national conversation. Most Americans, regardless of political affiliation, consumed largely the same news and operated from a similar set of facts. Political messaging followed established norms. Candidates relied on speeches, debates, press conferences, and carefully crafted advertisements. Errors could be corrected before reaching the public. Editors and producers filtered out unverified claims. Journalism moved slowly, but it valued credibility. Trust in institutions, government, media, and elections remained relatively high, even during moments of controversy such as the Vietnam War or Watergate. Disagreements were intense, but the system itself was rarely questioned. This structure limited how fast misinformation could spread. Rumors existed, but they rarely reached mass audiences. Conspiracy theories lived on the fringes. Political extremism struggled to find large platforms. Public debate happened in physical spaces, town halls, universities, workplaces, and through scheduled broadcasts. Politics was something people followed, not something that followed them everywhere. Most importantly, political power was centralized. A small number of institutions shaped narratives, and citizens reacted to them. This created stability, but it also created distance between leaders and voters. That distance would soon collapse. As digital technology advanced, the barriers that once protected political discourse began to erode. The stage was set for a transformation that would permanently alter how Americans engage with power, truth, and each other. The internet disrupted everything it touched, and politics was no exception. In the early 2000s, blogs began challenging traditional journalism. Online forums allowed users to debate issues without editorial oversight. Suddenly, information no longer needed institutional approval to reach an audience. Anyone with a connection could publish an opinion, a claim, or a narrative. Social media accelerated this shift dramatically. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube turned users into broadcasters. Political content no longer depended on media organizations, it depended on shares. This fundamentally changed incentives. Messages that were emotional, provocative, or controversial traveled further than those that were nuanced or cautious. The 2008 presidential election demonstrated the potential of this new environment. Barack Obama's campaign used social media to mobilize young voters, raise money and small donations, and coordinate volunteers. It was celebrated as a triumph of digital democracy. Citizens felt empowered. Engagement increased. Politics felt accessible. But beneath the optimism, a more profound shift was taking place. Social media platforms were not designed to promote democratic values. They were designed to maximize user engagement. Every like, share, and comment became data. That data was used to refine algorithms that decided what people would see next. Gradually, platforms learned that emotional content kept users active longer. Calm explanations did not perform as well as outrage. Fear outperformed reassurance. As these systems optimized for attention, they began reshaping political behavior itself. Politicians adapted their messaging. Journalists chased virality. Public discourse became faster, louder, and more polarized. The internet did not just change how politics was communicated. It changed what kind of politics succeeded. Algorithms are invisible, but their impact is profound. These systems analyze user behavior, what people click, watch, and share, and then deliver more of the same. Over time, this creates feedback loops. A user who engages with partisan content receives more partisan content. A user who reacts to extreme views is shown increasingly extreme material. This process does not require malicious intent. It is a byproduct of optimization. But the result is a fragmented society. Americans began living in separate information worlds. Conservatives and liberals encountered different facts, different narratives, and different versions of reality. Political opponents were no longer people with differing opinions. They became enemies, caricatures, or threats. Outrage became currency. Political influencers thrived by provoking reactions. Headlines grew more dramatic. Language became more absolute. Compromise appeared weak. Moderation disappeared from feeds. This environment was not only divisive, it was addictive. Emotional engagement triggered dopamine responses. Users returned repeatedly, reinforcing their beliefs and identities. Politics became entertainment and identity became performance. In this landscape, misinformation thrived. False stories that triggered strong emotions spread faster than corrections. Algorithms could not distinguish truth from fiction, only engagement from indifference. The foundations of shared reality began to crumble. The 2016 U.S. presidential election exposed the full power of social media politics. Donald Trump mastered the attention economy. His statements dominated news cycles. His tweets became headlines. Traditional media, attempting to cover him, amplified his message even further. Memes emerged as political weapons. Humor, irony, and shock value replaced policy discussion. Online communities coordinated messaging organically, often without central leadership. Politics became participatory and chaotic. At the same time, data analytics reached unprecedented levels. Personal information was harvested and used to target voters psychologically. Campaigns could tailor messages to individual fears and preferences. Democracy began to feel engineered. The election shocked the political establishment. Trust in institutions eroded further. Accusations, investigations, and online warfare became permanent features of American politics. But the most significant impact was global. Foreign governments took note. The United States holds immense global influence. Its political stability affects markets, alliances, and conflicts worldwide. Weakening American democracy weakens American power. Foreign actors realized that social media offered a new method of influence. It was cheap, it was deniable, and it exploited existing divisions. Rather than promoting a single candidate, foreign campaigns amplified conflict itself. Russia focused on polarization. China studied narrative control. Iran targeted specific grievances. Their strategies varied, but the goal was the same: undermine trust. Fake accounts posed as Americans. Bots amplified extreme voices. Content was designed to inflame emotions rather than persuade rationally. The aim was not agreement, but chaos. This was not traditional propaganda. It was psychological warfare adapted to the digital age. The effects of digital manipulation eventually moved offline. During the COVID-19 pandemic, misinformation fueled fear and resistance to public health measures. Conspiracy theories flourished. Trust in institutions declined. During the 2020 election, false claims of fraud spread rapidly. Millions questioned the legitimacy of the process. Online narratives hardened into belief systems. On January 6, 2021, those beliefs turned into action. The attack on the U.S. Capitol demonstrated how online radicalization could produce real-world violence. The digital battlefield had crossed into physical space. This moment marked a turning point. The consequences of social media politics were no longer abstract. As harm became undeniable, platforms faced pressure to intervene. Content moderation increased. Accounts were banned. Labels were applied. Governments demanded accountability. Critics warned of censorship. Supporters argued that democracy required protection. The debate exposed a fundamental tension. Social media platforms were private companies controlling public discourse. There was no precedent for this level of power. Regulation lagged behind innovation. Trust continued to erode. The question remained unresolved. How do you protect free expression without allowing democracy to be destroyed from within? Social media is permanent. Information warfare is evolving. The future of U.S. politics will be shaped not only by voters but by algorithms, platforms, and global actors. Democracy now depends on digital literacy, critical thinking, and collective responsibility. Every user is a participant. Every interaction has consequences. Foreign governments understand this reality. The challenge is whether citizens do. In the digital age, power is no longer seized through force alone. It is influenced through perception. And the fate of democracy may depend on whether societies learn to control the tools they created before those tools control them.